10 daily habits most people ignore, but that force your body to build muscle after 40. Rest assured, this will not be one of those cliched videos telling you to sleep 8 hours a day, eat more protein, and take creatine, the kind that we all know flood social media. These are habits that 90% of people who train genuinely do not know, and that professionals in the field use to achieve greater long-term gains. The difference between those who keep progressing after 40 and those who stagnate is not in the obvious fundamentals. It is in the details that few know and even fewer actually practice. That is why today you will see 10 daily habits most people ignore, but that force your body to build muscle after 40. Before we begin, please tell us in the comments your name and the city where you are watching our content. We would love to know. Habit number 1. Adding cluster sets to your training to break through plateaus. Cluster sets are one of the most underrated techniques for those who train, and they are especially powerful for anyone over 40. The logic is simple. Instead of performing all the reps of a set continuously, you divide them into mini blocks with short rest periods of 10 to 20 seconds between them. In practice, instead of doing 6 consecutive reps on the bench press with a challenging load, you do 3 reps, rest 15 seconds, and then perform 3 more. It seems like little, but that minimal pause allows the phosphagen system to partially recharge, enabling you to use significantly heavier loads than would be possible with conventional sets. And it is precisely that heavier weight that generates superior mechanical stimulus on high-threshold muscle fibers, the ones responsible for the greatest growth. Traditional sets, especially those performed with moderate loads and many repetitions, often fail to recruit these fibers consistently. After 40, when recovery capacity between sessions naturally decreases, methods like drop sets and sets taken to failure often generate an accumulation of fatigue that harms subsequent workouts. Cluster sets solve this. You get an intense stimulus with heavy loads without the high cost of excessive fatigue. The recommendation is to incorporate this technique into your main compound exercises, such as the squat, bench press, or deadlift, 1 to 2 times per week. Do not try to apply it to every exercise at once. Start with 1 cluster set per main exercise and observe your body's response. Those who have been stuck at the same weight with the same results for months will feel the difference within the first few weeks of applying this method. Habit number 2. Maintaining gut health. The gut is probably the most overlooked habit among those who lift weights. Yet it is literally the gateway through which every nutrient you consume enters your body. A compromised gut, whether due to dysbiosis, increased permeability, or chronic inflammation, absorbs protein, vitamins, and minerals poorly regardless of how much you take in. You can have the most perfectly designed diet in the world and still be wasting a good portion of what you put on your plate. After 40, the diversity of the gut microbiota naturally decreases, which makes this problem even worse. The first practical step is to include fermented foods in your routine. Kefir, plain unsweetened yogurt, sauerkraut, and kombucha contribute to a healthier and more diverse microbiome. The second step is to vary your fiber sources by consuming vegetables of different colors and origins throughout the week. Dietary fibers feed beneficial bacteria and promote a balanced gut environment. A healthy gut also better regulates systemic inflammation, which supports muscle recovery between training sessions and hormonal production, including testosterone. This means that taking care of your gut is not just a digestive matter, it is a direct muscle-building strategy. Another frequently overlooked point is hydration, since the gut needs water to function properly and transport nutrients efficiently. Consuming 2 to 3 liters of water per day, distributed throughout the day, already makes a noticeable difference in gut function and, consequently, in the quality of absorption of everything you work so hard to consume. Habit number 3. Including deload periods. The deload is probably the habit on this list that generates the most resistance. Nobody wants to reduce their training when they still have the drive to train hard. But that is exactly where the mistake lies. A deload consists of reducing training volume or intensity by 40 to 60%, every 4 to 6 weeks of intense training. This period allows muscles, joints, tendons, and the central nervous system to fully recover from the accumulated stimuli. Training intensely week after week without a scheduled break means continuously breaking down muscle fibers without giving the body time for complete supercompensation. The result, paradoxically, is less muscle growth, not more. Studies with strength athletes show that those who incorporate regular deloads progress more consistently over time than those who train at their absolute limit week after week. This happens because the body needs time to adapt to stimuli and consolidate the neuromuscular adaptations achieved. For men over 40, this practice is even more critical, as recovery time naturally increases with age. Ignoring this need leads to chronic fatigue, stagnation in results, and an elevated risk of overuse injuries. Injuries that can keep a person away from training for weeks or months, erasing all the progress they worked so hard to achieve. 1 week of deload every 6 weeks is not a sign of weakness. It is a strategic decision made by those who understand that growth happens outside the gym, during recovery, and not just inside it. Habit number 4, consuming a protein-rich meal before bed. During 6 to 8 hours of sleep, the body enters a prolonged fasting state. For those training with the goal of hypertrophy, this period can become a window of catabolism, meaning the body itself begins to break down the muscle fibers you worked so hard to build. To prevent this, the recommendation is to consume 30 to 40 grams of slow-digesting protein before bed. Casein, found in foods such as cottage cheese and in specific shakes, is the most studied choice for this moment. Its digestion can take up to 7 hours, keeping amino acids available in the bloodstream throughout the night and fueling protein synthesis while you sleep. Research shows that this practice increases overnight protein synthesis, improves muscle recovery, and can raise basal metabolic rate over time. One important detail: do not combine this protein with simple carbohydrates before bed, as this can cause unnecessary insulin spikes that disrupt sleep quality. The ideal approach is to pair the protein with a small amount of healthy fats, such as a handful of nuts alongside the cottage cheese, which also aids in the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Those with lactose intolerance can use cooked egg whites or a lactose-free protein isolate shake as an equally effective alternative. Finally, wait at least 30 minutes after eating before lying down to avoid disrupting digestion and sleep quality during the night. Habit number 5, getting morning sunlight exposure. You probably did not expect to find getting morning sun on a list of habits for building muscle. But this is one of the most well-supported points in sleep and hormonal science, and one of the most completely overlooked in the fitness world. Natural morning light, especially between 6 and 9 in the morning, reaches specific receptors in the eyes that signal the brain to synchronize the circadian rhythm, the internal biological clock that regulates virtually every physiological process in the body. A well-calibrated circadian rhythm means better nighttime sleep, quality, greater release of growth hormone during deep sleep phases, and morning cortisol at the right peak, which is healthy and necessary for energy and focus throughout the day. It also means a progressive decline in cortisol throughout the hours, favoring the anabolic environment your body needs to grow. Just 5 to 10 minutes of direct morning sunlight, without sunglasses, is already enough for this circadian anchoring effect. This habit also regulates the time at which melatonin begins to be released at night, making it easier to fall asleep naturally and without the need for supplements. For men over 40, whose sensitivity to the circadian rhythm is already progressively diminishing, this morning stimulus becomes even more relevant. Can you imagine the impact that substantially improving sleep quality and nighttime growth hormone levels could have on your training results? The answer is just a few steps from your window every single day. Before we continue, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Having constant access to science-based information is what will help you progress with health over the long term in the world of exercise. Habit number 6, stretching and taking a cold shower after training. These two habits, when combined in the correct sequence after training, form a highly effective recovery protocol that is still rarely practiced by most people. Post-workout stretching has an ideal moment for execution. With the muscles still warm, the fibers are more receptive, making the session safer and more effective for gaining lasting range of motion. Dedicate 10 to 15 minutes at the end of each workout, holding each position for 30 to 60 seconds in a static manner and without abrupt movements. This process restores the normal length of the muscle fibers, which become shortened and tense after repeated contractions, improves local circulation, and accelerates the removal of metabolites accumulated during exertion. Right after stretching, the cold shower comes in as the second element of the protocol. Temperatures between 50 and 59 degrees Fahrenheit, maintained for 10 to 15 minutes, reduce excessive inflammation and decrease delayed onset muscle soreness, the kind that appears the day after an intense workout and makes it harder to continue training through the week. Now, there is an important caveat that few professionals mention. If your primary goal is maximum hypertrophy, the ideal approach is to take the cold shower 3 to 4 hours after training, not immediately afterward. The reason is that the inflammatory response triggered by exercise, although uncomfortable, is part of the signaling process for muscle growth. Immersing yourself in cold water immediately afterward can attenuate that signal and reduce part of the adaptive stimulus. Adjust the protocol according to your primary goal. Habit number 7. Managing your zinc, magnesium, and vitamin A levels. Zinc, magnesium, and vitamin A form a trio of micronutrients that are frequently neglected but absolutely essential for building muscle after 40. Zinc is a direct cofactor in testosterone production. Its deficiency can reduce hormone levels by up to 75%, and it is lost in large quantities through sweat during intense training. This means that the more you train, the more zinc you need to replenish through diet or supplementation in order to maintain hormonal production. Magnesium participates in more than 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including protein synthesis, muscle function, and sleep quality. It is also one of the minerals most commonly deficient in physically active people, precisely because, like zinc, it is excreted through sweat in significant volumes. Vitamin A, in turn, is the least discussed of the three, yet equally critical. It regulates the expression of genes linked to the differentiation and growth of muscle cells, enhances testosterone production, and is essential for the health of joints and connective tissues. The structures that support heavy training over the long term. Natural sources include beef liver, whole eggs, quality butter, and orange-colored vegetables rich in beta-carotene, such as carrots and sweet potatoes. Zinc and magnesium supplementation in the form of ZMA taken before bed has consistent evidence of improving sleep quality, muscle recovery, and hormonal production. A simple investment with measurable returns for those who train seriously. Habit number 8. Always seeking progressive overload. Progressive overload is the most fundamental principle of strength training and, paradoxically, one of the most poorly understood in practice. Gradually increasing the stimulus placed on the muscle is what forces the body to adapt, and it is from that adaptation that growth is born. Your body is too efficient to build muscle unnecessarily. It will only do so if there is a clear reason of growing stress to which it needs to respond. A study published in 2002 showed that the group that implemented a progressive overload over the weeks achieved significantly greater increases in muscle mass and strength compared to the group that maintained the same loads during the same period. The most common mistake is thinking that progressive overload only means adding more weight to the bar every week. This limited view leads to compromised technique and an increased risk of injury. Progression can mean gradually increasing the weight, but also increasing the number of reps while maintaining the same weight, adding sets over the weeks, improving execution quality with greater control and time under tension, or reducing rest intervals between sets. Each of these variables represents a real increase in stimulus. What cannot happen is keeping everything exactly the same for months and expecting different results. That is not consistency. It is stagnation disguised as discipline. Record your workouts, track your loads and repetitions, and make sure you are always advancing in at least one of these variables over time. Habit number 9. Actively monitoring your testosterone levels. After 40, testosterone naturally declines by around 1 to 2% per year. This is physiological and expected. The problem is that there are everyday behaviors that accelerate this decline unnecessarily, and that most people completely ignore. Excessive exposure to plasticizers such as BPA, found in plastic bottles, packaging, and food containers heated in microwaves, mimics estrogens in the body and silently and cumulatively suppresses testosterone production. Sleeping too little, consuming alcohol regularly, being overweight, and spending long periods sitting also compromise hormonal levels over time. On the other hand, lifting heavy weights, keeping body fat percentage below 18%, sleeping well, getting morning sunlight, and consuming healthy fats such as extra virgin, olive oil, avocado, and whole eggs are habits that support natural hormonal production. And do you know why all of this matters so much? Because testosterone is not just the hormone of sexual desire. It is the primary anabolic hormone of the male body, directly responsible for protein synthesis, muscle growth, bone density, and training energy. Requesting regular tests for total and free testosterone from your doctor is a practice that men over 40 should adopt without hesitation. Knowing your numbers is the first step toward acting with intelligence, whether by adjusting habits, correcting nutritional deficiencies, or, when necessary, seeking specialized medical support in male hormonal health. Habit number 10. Prioritizing compound exercises. Compound exercises such as the squat, deadlift, bench press, and pull-up should form the foundation of any serious training program, especially after 40. These movements recruit multiple muscle groups simultaneously, generating a significantly greater hormonal response than isolation exercises can provide. A well-executed squat, for example, does not just work the legs. It activates the glutes, core, spinal erectors, and even the upper body for stabilization. The deadlift, in turn, is possibly the most complete exercise in existence in terms of total muscle recruitment and demand on the nervous system. Research shows that compound exercises produce a superior metabolic and hormonal response, with greater release of testosterone and growth hormone compared to isolation exercises, creating a more favorable environment for muscle growth throughout the entire body. They also develop real functional strength, improve neuromuscular coordination, and allow the use of heavier loads, which represents a greater and more consistent stimulus for hypertrophy. A frequent mistake is filling a workout with isolation exercises under the belief that this brings superior results. Barbell curls, tricep extensions, and lateral raises all have their place and value, but they should complement the compound movements, never replace them. The ideal structure is to build the workout around 2 or 3 main compound exercises, and then fill the remainder with isolation exercises to address specific weak points. Those who reverse this order waste the greatest systemic anabolic potential that strength training can offer. If you enjoyed this and want to discover the most harmful machines you should avoid after 40, we have left a video appearing on the screen right now showing each one of them in detail. Make sure to check it out. Thank you for watching until the end, and may God bless you, my friend.